Let me remark on one other aspect of bad policy and bad manners from the government benches. The actions of government backbenchers during the budget day speeches demonstrates the real cynicism of this government. Rather than listen to the criticisms, the constructive proposals from this side, you heckle, harangue and shout down other Teacht the Dálaí. Ministers are generally listened to respectfully by Sinn Féin, no matter how provocative they may be. But government Teacht the Dálaí, including occasionally, as we've seen just now, the Taoiseach himself, find it difficult to contain themselves when our Teachtaí are speaking. Now, the occasional, when it occurs, witty intervention, even the odd heckle, a spontaneous remark, may liven things up, but the concerted efforts to shout down, bully or silence the Speaker is unacceptable. And there are repeat offenders. And there are repeat offenders, habitual serial shouters with nothing of substance to say for themselves and no willingness to listen to others who might have something to offer. It's little wonder, Taoiseach, that George Lee left. Sexism is also alive and well in this Dáil. This was demonstrated clearly when Mary Lou was making her response to Minister Howland on Monday. She was interrupted 65 times. 65 times in one half-an-hour speech. One Fine Gael misogynist interrupted 27 times. And these aren't my figures. These were given to me by a government Teacht the Dálaí who I spoke to quietly on this issue. He went and checked it out. Let me give notice. Section 31, internment without trial, special courts, death squads. Many members of our party were killed in the north and here in this state in the county of Donegal. Heavy gangs, decades of failed propaganda, demonisation and revisionism did not silence Sinn Féin. So be sure, Las Concordia, that a motley crew of bad-mannered Amadan, lobby fodder for the government, will not silence us. We have a mandate to be here. We will make our voice heard, and we will make it heard clearly. There's also, if I may say so, Queebin indeed beat me to it the other day. He told us that he's heard more mention of the North in the last 9 months than in his 15 years here. And sadly, this newfound interest springs from the desire to distract attention from the government's policies. It's not out of concern for anyone in the 6 counties. And sometimes it's expressed as part of the general juvenile babble that I've just spoken of. But other times it comes from the ministers, including the Taoiseach. And usually the remarks are self-serving, inaccurate and downright incorrect. And such remarks, as I've told the Taoiseach, diminish him and your office. You know, and all the other ministers know, that the executive in the North does not have fiscal autonomy. It cannot raise revenue through taxation. And I would actually welcome the support of the government parties for a campaign to secure fiscal powers for the executive to take it from London into Belfast. But maybe that's too much to ask at a time when Sinn Féin in the North is attempting, with the active assistance of the DUP, to wrest such powers from London. Labour and Fine Gael are preparing to give away fiscal powers to the EU. The Taoiseach knows that the cuts in the North come from the Tory budget. It demeans anybody here to use a British Tory government's cuts in the 6 counties inflicted upon citizens there in some way to distract attention from what we're trying to say and from what your government is doing. Our ministers in the North set themselves the task of protecting the most vulnerable and to creating jobs. That's the task which Labour should have set themselves. If there's any rationale for Labour being in government, it should have been to do that. That's the one key difference, one of many, between Labour and this government and Sinn Féin in the executive. In the executive, among other positive measures, Sinn Féin have blocked the introduction of water charges, invested more in infrastructure and in education in the history of the state, and introduced free prescriptions. What have you done? Cut fuel allowance, cut child benefit, cut payment for lone parents, cut job seekers allowance, for part-time workers, cut 470 million out of local economies, cut this disability allowance, and cut funding for North-South cooperation in the Department of Arts, Heritage and the Gaeltacht. A 9% cut. I would go on, but I think you're aware of the hypocrisy in the posturing on these matters.